So if you guys need anything, I've got the chat down here on my computer. You can also just use your space bar if you're on your laptop to use it like a walkie-talkie and chat in. It is open conversation. We're going to talk mostly, about text message marketing, but also cover like conversation wise and communication wise as a realtor. And I'd like to hear any stories. If you have any fun stories, or if you have something that you're using that you really like that we don't bring up today, please add in. The only way we learn is from each other. That's how I learn stuff, to be able to teach you guys. So add in at any point, cut me off at any point. It's free flowing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everyone really quick. Move everybody's faces. All right, lovely Canva. Okay, so text message marketing, we were just chatting a little bit, but I know some of you just joined in about how important text messages are right now as far as communications go, not just for your marketing, but for your communications with your customers that you already have. I know a lot of us prefer text message. Some of us prefer phone calls. No matter what it is that you prefer. Sorry, my computer is spazzing out, but I don't think you guys can see that, so that's good. So no matter what it is that you prefer, it just makes things a lot easier. And sometimes if we're trying to gain a customer and we can't get them to answer us, sometimes they'll answer us through text message because they don't pay attention to their email and they don't pay attention to phone calls, or they ignore our phone calls and the voicemail just gets lost forever. So text messaging can really help you build relationships, get those customers that have never answered you, that are just like I got a lead, but they've never answered. I wasted my money. No more wasting your money. And it can help you with your current customers and keeping the flow of business or communicating with realtors. So there we go. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the mobile marketing regulations. Just like how with phone calls back in the day, it's still, honestly, now today, we have to pay attention to the do not call list. And we've got all these regulations about when you can call, what you can do to protect the consumers. There are a lot of industries that regulate the mobile marketing industry. It is separate from the phone call industries. Then we've got our own realtor rules that we need to pay attention to that are just separate from your basic marketing consumer regulations. And then we are going to talk about some free options and materials that you can use. And then we're going to go through some paid pricings and different programs that you could utilize if you don't have anything yet. So first, we want to discuss why for text message marketing. I know I use it in my everyday life. It makes life easier. But if you're kind of not the person who texts regularly and you're thinking, well, why would I want to text? What am I going to use it for? First is to start your conversations with your new leads. A lot of times, like I've previously said, I don't get anybody to answer me until I text them. The emails that we set them up on in our CRMs never get seen, and the phone calls just get sent to voicemail. Once you do get them to answer, it can help strengthen your relationships with everyone. So I know I've got, at any point you can have like 30 customers that are in your MLS that are just getting fed properties for whenever they're ready to, actually jump in and start looking at properties and putting in offers. But until then, if you're just feeding them listings, you have to have ways to reach out to them. And it's probably not going to be email because they don't pay attention to it. So a good text message every once in a while to your database is going to help keep people connected to you and not using any other type of realtor or services or anything like that. Sending out listing updates is going to help you a lot, especially right now. I know we're not going to be using listing updates such as like price drops, because if something's getting on the market, it's getting sold. But keeping a good database to connect with the realtors and customers interested in your property and letting them know, hey, first deal fell off. We're taking multiple offers again on Saturday, can help you strengthen what your seller is going to get and reach out to everybody at once that was previously interested in the property. Your open house follow-ups, great to do by text message. They're out and about. Most likely they're using their phone to search for properties. It's a great way as soon as they leave to thank them for coming out and for showing feedback. Most of us use showing time, but I'm finding with realtors being so busy, I'm not getting the feedback that I need properly. And you can easily get that through text message. I see a lot of realtors just, oh yeah, sorry, didn't get to it. I thought the property was great. and they'll give you some feedback through there so that you can keep your sellers happy. So let's talk about the mobile marketing regulations. This is through the FCC. There's a mobile commerce. There are several people that regulate the US mobile marketing regulations, things that these are different corporations that if you don't follow it, they will sue you on behalf of the customer. And we don't want you to be spending your commission money on paying back all of the wrongs that you did in mobile marketing. And we don't want to see anybody in stripes. So first off, they must have a way to opt out of the text messaging. So if you are doing regular text message blasts, there has to be a way for them to opt out of the messages. So if you're going to be doing this by hand or using any of the free tools, you're going to want to have to add on to your text messages that says, reply stop, to opt out or something like that. And then you would have to keep track of not texting somebody that wants to opt out. We are going to talk about programs and different apps that you can use, and those automatically come with a way for customers to opt out. That's your most important thing. If you're working with somebody regularly and you're just communicating with them, that's fine. You've got a customer. But if it's, a lead, you run a Facebook ad, you've got 40 leads and you start sending out text messages to these people as follow-up to get them to answer you, you're going to need a way for them to opt out. It is the consumer's right. Second off, you need consent for new leads that you have no prior relationship with. So those 40 leads that you got from Facebook, you have to have permission from them in order to start texting them. And the FCC really wants to, if you're in a court of law, they want to see it in writing. They want to see that you you can't just say, oh, well, they told me it's fine. It's not going to work. So most of the time, when I'm creating a Facebook ad, if we're continuing to use this example, part of the verbiage on the sheet that they fill out is please, provide your phone number for text message updates, your email for property alerts and this and that. I distinguish what I intend to do with their information on that page. And, and those ads and the people's information are saved within the ad platform. So you are pretty protected there. But if you are at an open house and, you collect a bunch of information, you're going to want to put something on that sheet that says that you intend to text them, so that when they fill out their information, you can save those sheets. You've got to have it in writing that you have the right to text these people. Now, if you have a customer who has communicated with you and you have them set up an MLS, you've got a relationship there, you've communicated prior, you've got a good amount of information to provide that shows that you are communicating with that customer and they are your customer, you have a reason for texting them. But your leads that you have no prior relationship to, you've got to have consent. So your FCC texting times are 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. of the receiver. I wanted to specify of the receiver because we've got a lot of people coming in from out of the area. And if you're, waiting till right at 8 a.m. to text 100 people, and some of those people are in California, well, you just messed up. So do pay attention to that. I know it seems like a lot to take into consideration, and I don't want you to be scared to text people, but just try to go about the middle point of the day where you really aren't going to have to worry about the 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the other time zones. Just pay attention to how many people you're texting and the zip codes, the area codes that you're texting, because you do not want to be marketing to people from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you have a customer and you're working on a deal and somebody sends you over a cancellation and you reach out to them via text, hey, the buyer just canceled, can we talk about this now or in the morning? That's okay. Most of us aren't going to be giving bad news after 9 p.m. I hope, but having conversations with your customers is okay, whether it's on your ethics or not, if that's how you do business. But if it's marketing, you are regulated to that 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. window. The last thing would be the customer care clause. And this is also through the FCC. So your intent has to be obvious. You can't they don't want to see any kind of trickery where you trick people into clicking through or responding and, you're trying to sell something else than what the intent shows. You have to provide more information to be found. So if you just were to text 100 people that you've not heard from before that aren't your customers and say, hey, I have a really hot property for you. and that's it, you're going to start to see some questions coming through. They want the customers to be able to click through to find more information. So if you link them to your site where they can find properties, golden. And it's as easy as that. Or if you can say, text me back, if you're interested, there has to be some kind of call to action so that the customer understands what's going on, what they're being solicited for, and they can find more information. That's just the second bullet point there about creating more information to be found is gonna go right along with making your intent obvious. And that third bullet point is a consistent supplier. So I know that's how the FCC phrases it. We got somebody not on mute. 1 second, guys. Let me mute you guys. Okay. So, okay, everyone's muted again. So the consistency of the supplier is meaning that if you guys have other businesses, and let's say you do an open house, you get 40 people that come through. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But we're just using that as an example. 40 people come through and you've got, 40 cell phone numbers to text, and you say, hey, you reach out to everybody. Thank you for coming to the open house. If you need any more information, just reach out to me, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But then if you start texting them for other reasons, then you're going to have a problem with the FCC, because they gave you the right to text them for real estate. I'm going to pick on Troy and Candy because you guys are on the call, but Troy and Candy, have other business where they've done construction work and they remodel and stuff like that. So if Troy and Candy were to hold an open house and text everybody a thank you for coming to the open house, they're great. But if the next day they text everybody and say, hey, if you want a beautiful new kitchen, call Troy, it's a different business and it's a different consumer. They did not give you permission to text them about other businesses. They just gave you permission for the real estate. So you need to have a consistent message and be a consistent supplier. So you're just trying to sell real estate to them. All my ladies who sell Mary Kay and real estate, don't be texting them for Mary Kay and real estate. That's where you're going to start having issues with the FCC. Do we have any questions on that? Does anybody have any questions on the rules? We're going to go through realtor rules as well. I think everybody's pretty well set. Okay, so just be clear. Don't be vague. Give good information. Get your consent and give them a way to opt out of it, and you'll be pretty well protected. I do suggest if you're going to start heavily getting into mobile marketing, then you're going to want to start keeping information, in a drive somewhere about whose information you got where, and if you have the consent to be texting them. Okay, so for us realtors, some of these rules are via the FCC for everybody and for us. So we talked about a consistent supplier. It goes right along with the fact that you need to identify yourself and your brokerage. So that is and Janet and JJ have a wonderful suggestion. Make an app file. So you can make an app file for yourself and just call it text message marketing, backups, and keep your open house sheets in there, keep your Facebook logs in there. Any way that you're gaining the mobile phones and the consent, put it in app files and you're protected. And we can also help protect you if somebody calls. So, all right, you must identify yourself and your brokerage. This is one of JJ, your broker's biggest pet peeves. When you call somebody, regardless, call, text, email, it needs to immediately be, hi, this is Joanna with Jones & Company Realty. If you are texting somebody, you can put in a signature right there at the bottom. You need to identify yourself and your brokerage. This is required by DBPR and NAR when you're communicating with people at any point on any level, but it's also required by the FCC that you identify who you are and what your intent is when you're texting people. So a real simple way to do that would be the second bullet point here, is putting signatures on all of your text communications. Now, I know that can get annoying. Let's say you're texting with the family, like, you text your kids and you're like, hey, we're going out to dinner Thursday. You want to come? And then it's like, Joanna Rao, Jones & Company Realty. So we're going to go through some different ways to fix that up. But on all of your text communications, you should have your signature. So even if you're regularly communicating with your customer, if you're communicating with other realtors about, a contract, showings, anything like that, at any point when you text something, your name should be linked to it. So we're going to show you how to put your signature on your phone for text messages if you don't know how to do that. The third bullet point would be to obey MLS 8.0 rules and to make property identification easy. So your 8.0 rules are all about cooperation. So I specifically put this bullet point on here because some of us will start to get a listing and we're really excited. And it's not, let's say I got a listing today, but we're not going to put it on until next week because they've got some cleaning to do. I cannot start texting out people that I'm going to have a new listing next week because that's considered marketing, whether it's my customers that I currently have in my database, or it's just, me trying to get people to answer me who've never answered. And I want them to be attracted to this new listing I'm getting. The moment I start texting out people about this listing I'm getting, it's considered marketing. And the MLS rules are that it has to be the moment you start marketing a listing within 24 hours, it must be in the MLS and it must be available to be shown. So don't start texting out to everybody until you're ready to put that in the MLS. And I see we've got a chat from Robert. One second, Robert. My thing does not want to show me the chat now. So do make sure that if you intend on, reaching out to everybody about your listing, it needs to be ready to put it in the MLS. All right, Robert put, once the relationship is established and they know who you are in the brokerage, should all text still include signatures? So let's let JJ answer that in the chat. Because that's going to be your broker hat there. So once somebody knows who you are, if you're regularly texting with someone, should the signatures still be on every little text message that you send to the customer? And we'll let JJ answer that one for you guys. So she says it's a good idea. It's going to protect you. If somebody's taking screenshots and they're sending it out and people are taking pieces of conversations, you're going to start to see issues if you don't have your signature on there. So it's good for branding, but not necessary is what JJ is saying. So you can take that or leave it as you want, but if you are marketing out to people who, where the relationship is not established, the signature is required. And if you also, some things we don't think of, if you're just sending a text message to a realtor that says, hey, I tried to use showing time, but it doesn't seem like it's working. Can I show 123 Main Street today at 6 o'clock? That simple little text message, you would think they would just assume you're a realtor, but it's not fun to assume. Please send them your name, your brokerage, so that way that they can confidently allow you to show the property without thinking you're some weirdo that's just going to rob the house. So back to the MLS 8.0 rules. So if you're going to list a property, before you start texting everybody, it needs to be in the MLS within 24 hours. So making your property identification easy. This comes down to an ethics point that a couple stories that I've read recently with people just texting out blasé messages about, oh, I have a property for you. And you probably should be providing a link back to those FCC rules of providing more information or ways for them to find more information. Provide a link to your website that shows the property information. Provide an address or an MLS number so that they can easily identify the property, and then your intent is clear and you're not getting in trouble for being wishy-washy and, falling down this hole of the FCC looking into you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions so far as rules and regulations go?
Joanne, I have a question.
Yeah.
If you use text message marketing to gather more information about the person, i.e. a link to a landing page, is that illegal or okay?
No, that's okay. So if you've collected their phone number, you can say, hey, and let's see, make sure we're on the same page here. So you would say, hey, if you're looking to get property updates on waterfront homes here in Cape Coral, click the link below. And the link below would send them to a landing page where they would be able to put their name and email and, get that way you can get the whole profile of the customer. That's fine as long as, as long as they still have an option there to opt out. Like if they're like, oh my God, this is, I don't want this. Then they can reply stop or they can opt out of it. Then you're perfectly fine. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. So my other point that I want to touch on real quick with this opt-out stuff is not to assume. So if you have a customer, you're in a contract and stuff like that, you're conversating back and forth, that's fine to assume that they want you to text them. But if you go out and just start going through, let's say, especially when we're new and we want to reach out to all of our friends and family and let them know we're in real estate and consistently remind them in real estate, because our family is always the first one to forget we're realtors, and you were to go through your phone and you collect all of this information. I've got somebody unmuted again, but you collect all of this information on somebody and you go through all your contacts, you use, an app to mass text everybody at once. Don't assume your friends and family actually want to receive your text messages, because you can, maybe it's a friend you haven't seen in 5 years. You can really get in trouble with that stuff. They still have to have a way to opt out. And if somebody's gets upset that they don't want you texting them, just apologize. Same way when you call somebody and they say, I'm on the do not call list. I'm so sorry. I will not call you again. Get off of that phone. Same thing with text messaging. You don't want to assume that people want your text messages. I mean, for example, even here, you think, it's so innocent, but even here, we have 145 agents. We used to mass text everybody when we had classes coming up. And you would think that that would be harmless, but we even had agents here that are like, why are you texting me? Don't text me. So your friends and family could possibly be the type of personality. Why are you texting me? Don't text me. So just be very careful. Don't assume anything. And until you are in a relationship and in a contract with a customer, do not mass text them without an opt out or without consent. And that's really what's going to keep you safest. Okay. So we talked about the best way to protect yourself through texting is to identify yourself. So this is how you're going to add signatures to your phones. Some of you probably already have this done and you're like, okay, but not all of us know this. So if you want to just take a quick picture of the screen, I'll leave it up for a quick second. So if you have an iPhone, the way that you're going to do this is by creating a text replacement. So in my phone, the way I have it done, I went through the settings here that you see laid out, and I made it so that if I type SIG, which is short for signature, then my signature just automatically populates. I like that with iPhone because then I can pick and choose where my signature is going to go, but you'll have to remember when you're texting people and make it an automatic thing when you're texting new customers or texting with realtors, if it's business related, I need to add my signature. But that way, if I'm texting back and forth with my husband, he's not constantly getting Joanna Jones & Co. Realty. He knows that. So with Android, you've got two options. You've got the same option that I just explained with iPhone, which would be down here. You've got languages and input in your Google keyboard, and yours is called personal dictionary rather than text replacement. Let me see. I know we've got another little chat here. So you guys have text replacement option, but you also have an option to always have your signature on there. So the first option is to constantly, no matter what, every time you send the text message, it puts that signature on there. The second option would be where you could type a little short code and then boom, your signature pops up and puts it in there for you. Can you create more than one text replacement? From Steve Bennett? Absolutely. So there's actually, I don't know, I don't even think with iPhone or Android, I don't think there's a limit. I've never seen a limit because people use this in their regular time for like auto responses to people, which would be our next slide here. So like if you have a hot property and you keep getting calls about it, go ahead and put in like an auto populated thing to reply to people like the same message that you're typing to everybody. Or if you wanted to save a text message that says, thank you for coming to my open house. For more information, go to this link, blah, 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 all your fluff in there. You could, put in a text replacement. So when you typed OH for open house, it would just automatically populate that text message and send it to people. You can store a whole bunch of text messages with short codes in your phone. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Glad I answered that question for you. So it doesn't just have to be about your signatures. The signatures is what we're covering for now, just for an CYA, but it's a great use for any kind of pre-populated text that you feel that you're constantly sending people. There's no need to constantly send people the same stuff and retype it always. Just have it typed up in your phone, have a short code for it. My brain doesn't always work that way because I'm like, what was that short code I created? And then I go back out to the settings and I look at the short code and I go back to the text message and I type in the short code and I could have already typed the message. But your signature is something you should be using every day. So hopefully that's something easy that you can remember that you've put in there. If you're using the text replacement. But again, on Android, if you don't feel like you want to remember it, you're going to remember it and you don't care that it's on every text message, you can have a permanent signature in there on your text messages. iPhone doesn't have that. So one thing that Android has that iPhone doesn't. Okay. So with the populated texting, the text replacement options, again, don't recreate the wheel. So you can use app files, marketing resource folders. I'll show you where that is, or start keeping your own folder on your phone. I use Google Drive, or if you wanted to use that populated text messaging, you can. For every situation that we have that we regularly go through, we should not have to be repopulating those responses. Again, those are the thank yous for coming to the open houses, or, you know, if you have a customer that you've plugged into MLS and you find yourself trying to remember, oh, what was it that I said to that customer the last time, you know, after I put them in there, you know, oh, hey, go check out your, oh God, I can't remember what it was. Oh, maybe I should go look at what I wrote that person and copy and paste it to this person. Those kinds of situations are text messages you should be saving. So having regular conversations with people, save those. I have everything in my Google Drive because then I just copy paste it out of my Google Drive. And whatever conversations those may be, you know, if I have a new customer that goes in MLS, I have conversations 1 through 5 saved. So week 1, they get this kind of check-in. Week 2, they get this kind of check-in. And I do all of that through text messaging. So again, you've got several different ways that you can go about this. You can save it in app files. You can save it on your drive. If you've got your phone, most likely you have notepads that you can save. So you can save those text messages in notepads, or you can save them in your text population. But it's a really good idea the next time you find yourself copying and pasting one text message from one customer to the next customer, save it, because you're going to need it later and you're not going to be able to find it. Do not recreate the wheel. So also another tip would be sending videos, because it can get you a lot further. It can get more attention. People love videos. All of the social media is changing to videos. And I've seen some really successful realtors do really well at this. So if you find yourself typing out paragraphs regularly and you're thinking to yourself, oh, my customer's probably not going to read this, put it in a video. Your video should be 20 seconds or under and just real quick. And it doesn't always have to be a pre-populated video. If you are in a situation and you need to reach out to a customer real quick, but you can't get on the phone with them, open that video chat, record it, send it through text message. You'll find yourself getting a lot more attention from people. So especially, let's think about our open houses that we do. Right after the open house, you're standing there in the middle of the house you just showed them. You know, open up your phone really quick, shoot a video. Hey, thank you so much for coming out to our open house today. Give them updates, remind them of those few special features in the home, and send it off to everybody. The videos will get a lot more verbiage across than your text messages will before you lose their attention, and it catches people's interest a lot. It helps with branding yourself. You are your brand. Aside from Jones and Company, your face and your voice are your brand, whether you like them or not. So just go ahead and shoot that video and send it over to them. All right, so here are some different platforms that you can use. First, we're going to go through some free ones, which seem a little bit more difficult, but they're free. And then we're going to go through some paid ones. For a very long time, I used the Google platform. Obviously, you guys have taken my Google classes before, then you know I live through Google. So it's free. You can use it on your computer. You can use it on your phone. You can use it on your tablet. You know, if you're at your computer doing work, it's real nice to open up that big screen and get some marketing work done. But if you're on the go and need to do something, you just open it right on your phone. So for the text message marketing, I would suggest using Google Sheets to keep track of all of your leads. and you can have a column there for whether you can text them or not. Move them to a different sheet completely would probably be the safest route. You could have two sheets down at the bottom. One is for, yes, we can text. And then the moment they say, don't text me anymore, you move that person over to the other sheet for not texting and only emailing. And then what you're going to use to text people would be Google Voice. This is what I used all the time to communicate with you guys when we were constantly sending out our classes. And it made it easier rather than having my phone in front of me and trying to go through each contact person and copy and paste a text message. It took me 4 minutes to text 140 of you on the Google Voice dashboard. And there's a little screenshot of it there. That is the Google Voice dashboard. On the left-hand side is all of the contacts, and then you can see the messages. And so I would just copy paste it and send it over. The only problem is last time I checked, you couldn't get a 239 area code, which is, depending on what you're trying to do, that's either great or you hate it. But what you can do is look for area codes in your other areas for markets that you might be trying to break into. We have a lot of people that move down here from Minnesota because of the Twins, Boston because of the Red Sox, and we've got everybody moving down here. But I liked the fact that I could get a Massachusetts area code, because then I was texting people from Massachusetts when I was getting them on my Facebook ads, and they were answering more because they saw a familiar area code. So it could work against you or it could work for you. There is no mass texting option on this, so it is one at a time. But like I said, it's easier to do copy paste rather than just using your phone. And then I work everything in this dashboard and everything stays there. I do, find that there is an error with using this once. If you're texting so fast and you go to text over about, I usually hit 130, it starts giving me an error. So I would say do, at max 100 people before it's like, or it thinks you're spamming, and it'll start blocking your text messages. So you can do like 100 and then take a break for a day, do another 100, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So this may seem a little bit complicated, but it's there, it's free, it's an option to use your computer to text people, and you can attach photos and videos. So that would be your free option. Is anybody using Google Voice right now? No. Anybody like Google Voice? I'm seeing lots of heads shaking now. Okay. So here are some of your other options. There are a lot of apps and programs out there that you can use. I just put these two up here. I know Rachel, last I saw, Rachel was on the call and she had suggested the other day, she really likes Hit 'em Up. So that's why I put them on here. But like I said, there's lots of different ones you can use. I just want you to get an idea of what pricing is. So SlyText, which I really like because they also have another program called SlyDial, if you've never heard of them before. And got somebody on mute again. Okay, so with SlyText, what you can do, it's $10 to $100 a month, depending on how many contacts you need to be texting. It's not $1 per person, but you get a good amount for $10. But like I said, depending on where you're needing, how much space you're needing, how many contacts, how many text messages, they've got all kinds of different plans, as cheap as $10 to $100 a month. And I think it's great. They have an easy to use website. They have a dashboard, just like, so if you like the idea of Google Drive, but it seems like it's a lot of work, spend $10 a month and get SlyText, because you got a whole dashboard. You can text people, you can send out mass texting, you can schedule texting, which is great. Especially when you're excited to get news out about a new listing and you've got that 24-hour rule, schedule it, forget about it, so you're not thinking about it. Another thing to use is Hit 'em Up. It's an app on the phone exclusively, and that's kind of a different feature. So with that, they are apps for mass texting where they're synced with your contacts. So those are people that would have to be in your contacts and in your phone for you to send them messages. But it's a great way to do it, to mass text, friends and family and things like that, without it becoming like a massive group text. We all hate group text. If any of you decide to group text everybody that visited your open house, it's the fastest way to lose a customer. Nobody wants to be on a group text. So you've got different apps and different things depending on what angle you're trying to come at this with. So if you use SlyDial, then that's going to be something where you can type in a bunch of phone numbers of people you don't already have and store it and see the history of it. But if you just want to send out a mass text message without it being grouped with everybody, real simple to use it on your phone. And the same thing with the hit 'em up. It's $5 to $52 a month, depending on how many messages you want to send out and how many people you want to text. It's all about data for these companies. It's just you're going to pay more for the more data that they've got to send out. So is anybody using like a mass texting program that they like right now? There's a lot of you guys on here and you're very quiet. All right. So other types of programs would be ones that are CRMs with text capabilities. So the programs that we just talked about, those are just for mass texting. That's all that they do, nothing else, just for mass texting. And these programs are a lot more with the texting capabilities. That's why we were on the class, LOL. Okay, I guess I'll do all the talking then. So CRMs with text capabilities, there's a lot of them out there. I chose these two because they were the highest rated, and you've got wide ranges for depending on how much you want to spend. So realtor.com can start at $150 a month and it can go to a lot of $100 a month. So with realtor.com, it's part of that whole package you buy where you buy into getting leads, and you get to purchase into zip codes. I know some people who have had like lesser wanted zip codes like Alva, North Fort Myers have managed to get it for $150 a month. But if you want to buy leads in Cape Coral, like near the Yacht Club and all those great zip codes, you're looking at a lot of money per month to pay for leads. But when you pay for those leads, you get a whole dashboard, you get a whole CRM, and it comes with one of the features is text messaging. So it'll text your customers, it'll email your customers, it'll do all kinds of things. You can set them up on different plans. So the thought process is already kind of done for you. I think they're great programs if it's in your budget, because you don't have to come up with any of the material. They know what to say to the customers and when to say it to the customers, and they'll track the interaction with the customers. And you've got email and text message already done for you. So another program would be Wise Agent. I know a lot of people that love Wise Agent, and I think it's really the best program that you can get for its money. So you can pay $29 a month, or you can pay $299 for the year. So if you pay for the whole year, you get $60 off, or you can just pay for it per month. Wise Agent is a CRM system. It doesn't provide leads. It doesn't do anything. You enter your leads in there. You set them up on a program. You can custom make programs. But within Wise Agent now, it's not just about emailing your customers and reminding you when to call people and reminding you, different relationship avenues. It's also texting people for you, which is great. Because a lot of people, again, they're going to answer to text message. They're not going to answer to email. And when you start out with a customer, it's a really good thing to call them, text them, and email them. See what they respond to first or what they respond to the most. And then you're going to know, okay, my customer likes to communicate via this avenue. But until you get them to contact you, you're going to want to do a lot of texting, because a lot of people, they're constantly looking at their phones. We don't go anywhere without our phone. I know if I go from one room to the next and my phone's not with me, I have instant separation anxiety. So if somebody really wanted to sell to me or contact me, wouldn't you think it would be best to text me, because I'm constantly getting that notification for text messages, but I probably ignore my emails, right? Obviously I don't, because I'm a realtor, but most of our customers do. Are there any CRMs that you guys are using right now that you like? Do they have text message options? Candy, you're on mute. I know you're talking, but you're on mute.
There.
There you are.
I got it. We use Follow Up Boss.
Okay.
It does have texting from one number. That's our number. And basically on all of our texts, we have a signature line that says this is sent from our computer text line. They can call it back, and they will get only one of us though, because we're both on the platform. But so we put our phone number, and then it's from a computer text line, and then that way they can call us directly if they need to. We haven't
Okay.
used the text marketing piece. We do use the text with new customers though.
Yeah. Perfect. Anybody else have a follow-up program that they really like? I see Robert wrote in the comments asking about Agent 3000. Agent 3000 has a great CRM program, but they're not text integrated yet. So lots of emails, lots of ways to connect your customers into that IDX feed. They give you lots of feedback about what your customer is doing, so you can totally stalk them on the internet. They're great, but no text message marketing. So if you were to pair Agent 3000, which is a great price, with some of these other simpler programs, I think you would be golden. And it's important to note with like the Google platform, you do get a different phone number. They assign you a phone number to use, but you can have calls forwarded into your cell phone. So whenever I was using the Google phone number, I was texting people. If they called, it automatically, because I had the app on my phone, you integrate it so it rings in on your phone, so you can still pick up those phone calls and they don't get lost in the Google platform. Most of the programs that are the apps and the CRMs, they're going to use your personal phone number to make it look like it's coming from you. So, you're kind of paying extra to not have to worry about people being confused with cell phone numbers, which I think is a great feature. Anybody else have any other programs that they like? No? Okay. I think we've got everything in the chat. So what I do want to show you guys is some materials that we have for you in app files. Let me move you guys down. Move this back up. Okay. So if you're kind of at a loss trying to figure out what it is, what conversations you should be having with people. I know a lot of us have gone over this in orientation for our new agents. But in case you've forgotten, we've got all of these folders out here in app files with drip campaigns for different avenues. So if you have a buyer lead that hasn't answered, we've got a whole folder for it right here. We've got relationship builder folders. We've got FSBOs, farm areas, all kinds of stuff like that. What this is going to do is provide conversation pieces for you. There's a lot of letters out there, but you don't have to, obviously you don't want to put a whole letter into your text messages, but it gives you good pieces of what conversations to have with people at what time. The buyer lead that didn't answer folder does have text messages in it. You can see here is the drip schedule, and it has really simple text messages in it. So, hi, and you put their name, was reaching out to you to see if we could help you with your home search. Let me know what you're looking for. But then it continues to have letters. But if they answer you right away on text message, you can move forward with the buyer relationship builder. So instead of, continuing on with the buyer lead didn't answer, we would move on to this one, in which we have different letters to send them, and they're called emails. But again, you can either make a video for each of these, or you can shorten them into a little paragraph. If you know that they left text messages, then don't send them emails. You're just wasting your time. But these are great conversations to have with people. Your initial introduction email, which could also have added information about how to access the portal, can easily be put into a text message. What you face at 10 days together, 20 days together. And you can see here, like I said, it's a lot of verbiage to put into a text message, but easy conversations to get you started, to save into your phone, to continue conversations with customers that you don't want to lose to other realtors. There's a lot of different stuff out here. So your expired listings, your farm area, and your FSBOs. I'm not sure that you would really be able to use those as much unless you establish a relationship with somebody who has a FSBO listing and they ask you for advice. That would be great. But using products like Remine to gain phone numbers, you're going to have an issue with that when it comes to the FCC laws, due to the fact that you don't have consent to text them unless you have a reason. Now, most of us can find a reason to text somebody. I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Most of us have a reason to text somebody because, we can say that we have a customer, that wants to purchase a house if you're going after listings, but you're going to really have to have a customer. But you have to have consent to be texting people. So Remind is great for getting phone numbers and making phone calls. But if you've got a bunch of expired listings and you're using Remind, I would not suggest texting people in that sense. I know that's a bummer because we know that they'd answer if we texted them, but unfortunately the consumer is protected that way in the fact that they have to give consent. That's where it's different from making marketing phone calls and marketing text messages. Phone calls, they can register for do not call, and that's mostly the only protection that they have aside from time regulations. But with text messages, you can't just text anybody. You have to have consent. And you're going to really want to avoid them, if they're on the do not call list as well. So thanks, John. Do we have any other questions, or people have any success stories or horror stories with your text message marketing? You guys are all looking at me like deer in the headlights. Uh-oh, Candy, you froze.
Hey, Joanna?
Yes. You're good now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
This isn't related to the marketing piece, but can you speak to documentation for text messages, and how do we accomplish that? Like when we're in the middle of sales and all of that, it ends up on our phone most of the time. And how do we transfer that to app files for documentation purposes?
Yeah, I know JJ's fingers are probably going crazy on the keyboard right now down there. Your CYA for everything, and I hope she's down there answering so we can further elaborate on this. Your CYA for everything is going to be getting it in writing, getting it in contract, having a text message that somebody says, yeah, sure, I'll take the deal, is not going to hold up. I'm like just sitting here waiting for her to respond, and I feel like she's not going to. But if you have correspondence in text messages and it has any kind of weight to it, where somebody has said either done something wrong, or they've promised something, you take screenshots of that, send the pictures right into app files through email. Okay, she says no text, use email. So your emails are going to hold up. And a lot of times what she tells customers at the end of the day, and if you must use screenshots. So that's what we said. So if somebody says, yeah, I want to do this, or I want to do that, we tell people a lot of times, can you send that to me in an email? Just so that I have clarification, or, for legal purposes, please send it in an email. If it's not something that's an addenda that's getting signed or a contract that's getting signed, try to get it in email. And if you've got text messages, and it's not a situation where you can ask them to email, take screenshots, send it over, send it on over to app files, use your phone email to do that. Every app file that you have has its own email. If you don't know how to do that, call Janet, our app files whiz. She will tell you how to email stuff into app files. Also, document verification from phone conversation through email. So the same thing, if you're talking to people and somebody says, hey, can you do this for me? Or, hey, I want this done. Any kind of instruction. Yes, I can, but can you please put it in email, please? And you can always say it's a requirement of my brokerage. We don't care, throw us under the bus. We'll tell them yes. If they call and they say they wanted an email, we're going to say, heck yes, we wanted an email. Thank you very much. And then that email needs to be put over into app files as well. Okay, that answers that question for the most part. Any other questions or tools that you guys are using? I think we've got everything in the chat there. Okay, so just about taken up an hour of your guys' time. I hope you learned something, and I think I am starting to freeze. At least my computer is frozen now. So if you guys have any further questions, just reach out to me. Let me know. We're always available here at the office. And if you guys have any other success stories with other apps or programs, post them out on our Facebook group and share the knowledge and share the love. So we'll talk to you guys soon, and have a great day.